that's the biggest mistake I see people make as promoters, is they don't clearly tell their volunteers what needs to be done. They don't clearly, I mean, they've got 5 judges, and they don't clearly communicate to all 5 judges what the rules of each event are and what the standards are for a good lift.
Assuming people should just know stuff,
right,
that they think is the known.
Yeah. So, I mean, you'll go to I won't name the major event, but you will go to a major event that has multiple lanes, and they're doing an axle press. They're doing an axle clean and press, and the rule clearly states there's no resting on the belt. But you will see in lane 2 and 4 that the judge is letting people rest on the belt and then fit it and then go to their clean. And the other lanes are all judging strictly and not letting people do that. And I'm just watching going, okay, that's the fault of the promoter. How the hell did you not clearly point that out to your judges? So like when I ran nationals in 2019, that was the 400 people show, largest single day show in history at the time. And I had 8 judges, and I made sure all 8 of them knew exactly how I wanted every event judged. We sat down, we got together, and like, all right, listen, this event, these are the rules. I want it by the book here. Boom, boom, boom. This event, boom, boom, boom. These are, this is how I want this judged. Everybody was clear with it. We had no problems whatsoever all day long. Everybody, I had all the job assignments from different people. Everybody knew what it was they were supposed to do, when they were supposed to do. I had a good friend of mine as my right-hand man, and he kind of took care of things where, we had extra people that were just kind of waiting to fill in for stuff, if people needed breaks, whatnot. And so
floaters.
Floaters. Yeah. And so he was kind of in charge of that, checking in if anybody needed anything. Okay, here, let me get a float in for you. You go to the bathroom, you go grab a bite to eat, whatever, boom, boom, boom. But everybody knew what was expected. Everybody knew what they were supposed to be doing, when they were supposed to be there, because I clearly communicated that to everybody. And then my job was just to run around and put out fires and adjust things as needed and take care of things, take care of the overall stuff. But that's the big mistake I see a lot of promoters, man. They don't communicate to people what needs to be done. They just assume that everybody knows what they need to be doing. So you watch at their shows, and they've got 5 people as volunteers that are absolutely working their asses off, driving themselves into the ground, and they've got another 5 or 6 people standing around going, because they've never they didn't give clear instructions for everybody for what they're supposed to be doing, where they're supposed to be. And
so how do you do that, but then compete in the thing?
Oh, well, I've not competed in my own event.
Okay.
That's one. You don't compete.
That is so.
Okay. I misunderstood.
Yeah, I have only competed in my own events a couple of times. Back running Static Monsters. The only way to qualify for the Static Monsters World Championships was to actually compete in Static Monsters. And of course, I was running the show, so one of my friends was there. He was a competent judge. He knows how to judge strictly like I do. So I'm like, all right, I need you to judge when I'm up, and then for a few hours, while I'm catching my breath after my attempts. So we would trade in. He would judge for a minute, and then I'd go ahead and judge after he was done. So, but yeah, when you've got everything set, otherwise that was pretty easy. And those were also smaller contests. Those were you're talking 25, 30 people.
And generally, just 2 events makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, well, that too. Yeah, I mean it was a max log press and a max 18-inch axle deadlift.
So then, how do you go about? Because if we look at it from a customer standpoint, how do you go about keeping the same customers so they come back? But at the same time, the sport's going to have attrition. Yeah. So you got to always be bringing in new ones at the same time. So how do you balance that? Because being older, you're gonna fall more towards taking care of the people that are there and not trying to fill the ones that are going to be leaving.
Right. The honestly, I mean, strongman. At the amateur level in particular, strongman is all about cool T-shirts, cool awards, and cool social media posts. I mean that's really that's what drives it. Mm-hmm. So as long as you have events that look cool, that they can get cool, they can get a lot of likes on Instagram when they post their videos from the contest. If you got a cool shirt that they, make sure you have a nice looking shirt so that they can get compliments on it when they're walking around somewhere, when they go into the bro gym, whatever. That's pretty much. I mean, I hate to say it. I hate to say it that way. That's pretty much it. If you've got cool stuff, that's what's going to draw people in.
But that's built upon making sure it's an organized, good event, right?
You have to make. You have to make sure it's a good, organized event. But if you get and then cool awards. I mean, people will. You're giving out a sword. It's like you give out a big
sword.
You give a big sword or an axe, and they're just like, oh hell yeah, I'm in. Even if they don't have a prayer in hell, you'll get an event where you've got a 260 log for reps, and the guy can't press 210, but he's like, I might be able to win a sword, so he goes in and enters anyway. Everybody, so people get fired up about different stuff like that. So I always try to put a lot of effort into finding the awards, giving out cool awards that people are happy to show off, and cool shirts, get some good artwork on there. And spend a little bit of time, spend a little bit of money. If you have artistic talent, spend some time on the artwork. If you have no artistic talent like me, pay someone who does, to get, some decent artwork in there that looks cool. And, and then cool events that, are good for photographs and good.
People will go out of their way to go to a meet or a competition that has cool events.
Yeah. And if you have a reputation for running, like I've got a reputation for running good contests. Mm-hmm. So people know if they come to one of my contests, they're not going to be hanging around till 8 or 9 at night. Mm-hmm. They're going to be able to come in, do their thing, and be done by 2:30, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Go get something to eat. Still have the rest of the evening to have fun, whatever.
And knowing that it will be fair, and
it's going to be fair. It's going to be well run, and so that also goes a lot with it too.
Well, with the time that you've been in the sport, it's gone from being in the parking lot of a Motel 8, to where it is now.
Yeah.
Where do you see it, say, in 5 years?
Realistically, probably the same. Reason being, the only way we're going to, one, I don't know that it would be a good thing if we got a lot of extra money into the sport. I don't know that I would want to see a strongman world where, we've got people making millions of dollars as strongman competitors, because that's when you're going to get all kinds of prima donna douchebags that are just getting in it for the money. And you're going to have a lot of crazy regulation and other crap to deal with from outside organizations. I think it would suck everything that's good out of the sport.
You think so? Because
I do.
That would be kind of like saying that the NFL has ruined the high school football experience.
Well,
because at the amateur level, it's still going to be
fun.
Well, the thing is, like, there's not fun football after high school or after college. Strongman seems to be one of those, and a lot of strength sports, I'm sure
I get what you're saying.
Where this is a lot of people that they get into it later. Mm-hmm. Like maybe they never got to do anything athletically in high school, so they want to get into it. So it's a hobby for 99.9% of people. If we get a ton of high-level money into it, then we remove that hobby bit, I think, to a large degree.
Even if there's a separation between the amateur and the pro?
I would think so. So we have a lot of people that are trying to. We have a significant. They're a minority right now, but they are significant in trying to make it more serious and more professional and stuff like that. I'm like, yeah, I get where you're going, but you're also the heart of it is just doing goofy stuff and having, because most of the people who are in the sport are, work-a-day folks, have a regular job, that are trying to do something that's 180 degrees away from what they do from 9 to 5 through most of their life. So, it's a hobby. I mean, even at the pro level right now, there's probably 3 people in the United States that can pay their mortgage and pay their car payment on a regular basis from the money that they win competing in strongman. And, out of, let's say we have 10,000 athletes, which is probably a stretch, 3 of them can pay their mortgage and their car payment on a regular basis. It would be cool if that went up. I mean, I would like to see people actually be able to make a living at the sport. But yeah, I don't know if I'd ever want to see it go mainstream, like mainstream. And in the U.S., I think it'd be a tough sell anyway.
So what if we propose, let's say on the flip side, if we take something like wrestling, WWE, etc., all of that has made it a lot more accessible and popular for local level wrestling.
True.
No, use because I was just thinking the same thing that you are. Use MMA
or MMA.
MMA is better, right? Because as you were talking, as I think you were kind of going, I'm thinking there are people that just do Brazilian jiu-jitsu with no aspirations to compete.
Right, yeah.
But what they have though is the belts. They can be rewarded by the belt, right? Where in the strongman you don't have divisions,
tiers, or
like in powerlifting, and it's less known today. But as we were doing it, there's class 5, class 4, right? Class 2. So you could still strive for all that, but be separated from that. But where I think you were going, and I'll let you continue, is that in the MMA you still have the people that are
the hobbyists.
Exactly, yeah.
But I
want to do it on the weekend.
But I'm not in it, so I don't know. Like, do the hobbyists think, if I just worked harder, that this is where I could go?
Right.
I'm not in that community.
I know a lot of people, strongmen, powerlifters, strength athletes, CrossFitters even especially, that once they're done competing in that sport, they'll go into judo or jiu-jitsu or something similar.
Yeah, but to his point,
and they'll enjoy it.
Yeah.
This is where the strength sports, and I don't know if it's good nor bad, is, and we're old enough to be able to see it. There's a lot of people that are still competing that probably shouldn't be.
Yeah.
Right, just for health reasons.
Yeah.
I mean, they're using PEDs, they weigh too much. But if there was like, you're retired now, like in the NFL, you're done. Like in other professional sports, you're done, right? And they make up a pretty big percentage. So that's kind of where you're going. There's a whole population that fit, not the older ones, but just everybody in general. That you play high school, you just don't move on. Like even with rugby, right? I mean, I guess you could go back and play club, if you made it.
I would not want to go.
No, nobody would do it, right? The same as like most powerlifters that would get to a higher level or like, I'm done.
Yeah.
Like Brian Shaw's probably not thinking, hey, look, I want to come back and do this masters thing.
Nah. Probably,
but maybe, you never know, because the meathead it's a strong identity.
Yeah, Big Z does. He does the Masters. Enjoys it.
Yeah.
Oh, Z's like you know Z. He's like a big kid, man. He is.
He loves the sport.
Continue with your thought though, because I'm interested to see where you were going.
So yeah, my thought was on it that if you do bring up the main attraction of the sport, the people that actually can earn the bread and butter out of it and can pay their mortgages and so on, that does bring a lot more professionals and attention to the sport, which, granted, I'm all against standardization, but having the ability to invite more coaches, more coverage, like even for you, for your events, if they're an amateur event, just knowing that we don't have 3 professional athletes that we can choose from. We have 100 professional athletes that can come down and just be a guest, help out all the amateurs.
Yeah, and I would like to see it get into something like that. I don't think I'd ever want to see the case where we got $1 million contracts and holdouts and weird crap like that.
Oh, no.
But all that crap. But I would definitely like to see it evolve to a point where we have more than 3 people. I mean, like Inez is the first this year. She won the Rogue. She is the first woman in strongman in the history of the sport to be able to pay her bills with the money that she's won in strongman.
And whilst it's amazing that that's moving on, we'll have 100 top athletes that are breaking their backs, like changing their life just to do this, and only a handful of the top 5 are actually being paid. Yeah, I mean, not these 100 that could have contracts. Right. They could be doing way better.
Yeah, so. And it's like, now I know over in Europe they've got a circuit. Yeah. And there are a lot of guys that are, they're probably never going to win World's Strongest Man, but they can actually make a halfway decent living because they can compete a lot and pick up money and stuff like that here. here and there. Where U.S. we don't have it. I would love to see us get to where we could support a circuit of pro strongman where people could, where more than 3 people could make enough money to pay their bills and stuff like that.
No, there's definitely a handful of professionals in Europe that are competing every other week.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
and making enough that this is their job plus coaching.
Right. Yeah. This is what Novikov. Novikov didn't he did like 18, 19 contests one year, and people were like, why are you competing so much? Well, I need the money. Yeah.
Well, the reason why I ask is it seems like in a lot of strength sports, it's kind of plateaued. Like there was a growth phase that I think they all just went through.
Yeah.
Prior to COVID. Maybe even during COVID, maybe still a growth phase. There was a growth phase, but it seems to kind of like plateaued if it's powerlifting and if it's strong. Even I could say bodybuilding as well, but they kind of got over the plateau by just making new divisions.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So that's still kind of growing, but if you look at the men's bodybuilding, that's probably kind of at this plateau as well.
I think strongman is on the contrary the most growing right now. In the last 5 years, we had the most payouts, the most professional
I'm talking
competitions
participation, overall participation.
Participation, the thing is, I mean, there are only so many people that are crazy enough to do this.
Well, that's my point. I mean, like
the growth in the sport, to me, if it's going to come from anywhere, we need to improve our appeal to a broader spectrum of people to get because there are only so many people that are crazy enough to do this, and there are even fewer people that are crazy enough to do it over a long period of time. Most of the people are in the sport 3, 4, 5 years tops, and then they're off to something else. Yeah. I'm definitely a huge outlier of being around as long as I have, and I hope to continue doing strongman stuff till a few days after I die.
So that's why I wonder if it's plateaued, right? Because in powerlifting, the number of competitive powerlifters last year might be twice the number of powerlifters when I was competing.
Okay, yeah.
Right? So you're going from, 90s, 2000 to, 2025. Right. So over 25 years. Yeah. Because you got to keep filling the bottom. Yeah. Because there's that attrition rate.
Yeah.
But that growth happened for a lot of different reasons. You can say CrossFit, you can say social media. There's a lot of things that feed into that to be able to spur that growth. It's in front of more eyes.
Yeah.
We don't have this that we know. I mean, because like AI and all this other stuff, but is that going to create more social media? Because the social media has definitely helped.
Yes.
Right? With that growth. What else? You see what I'm saying? Where's that growth going to come from to take it to double it again?
I think we need to make it more spectator friendly.
Yes, 100%. Yes.
Because there's a lot of downtime in most strongman events to where, and you look at all the popular sports. I mean, all the popular spectator sports. There's something going on all the damn time. There's, even the combat sports. Okay, they've got women walking around in their underwear in the middle of the stage between guys beating the shit out of them.
And commentators breaking down whatever happened on replay over and over.
There's something going on all the time where strongman, even with commentators trying to talk in between, there's still a lot of dead time. And
setting up the events, the weights, moving.
And so there needs to be a shift to make it more of a spectator-friendly sport. And then the other one, at least in the United States, is we have the PED bias, where we, started off with, during the Cold War of those evil Russians are using steroids and
evil Russians and the Germans. Yeah.
Yes. So we don't want our boys don't use steroids. So, anybody that looks like they've got too much muscle was, suddenly a steroid. So we've got that weird bias. We've got that anti-strength bias for some, that we somehow need to get around. And then, like I always joke around that we've got the 3 F's for strongman. We've got friends, family, and fetishists, and that's pretty much it. You've got the bear chasers looking at the men's division. You've got the guys that want to get beaten up by the women, for the women's division, and then friends and family, and that's pretty much our spectator base. But I think we have a lot to offer if we have a better viewing experience where we've got something going on all the time, and they can go, okay, I can watch this person do this, and then I can turn and watch them do that, and I don't have to worry about this getting broken down and
This is definitely something I'm trying to work on here for the US. But in Europe, we pull in a minimum of 2,000 spectators, sometimes way more, upwards of 5,000.
Yeah.
And those people stick there through the 3-4 hours of the competition.
Yeah,
and watch it.
Yeah, so and me running, so when I ran USS Nationals, I can't remember my exact numbers for my spectators, but I think I had around maybe 1,000, 1,500.
That's pretty good.
Well, yeah, which was really good for here.
For the US especially.
For the US, it was insane.
Yeah.
And but like, you'll see, over in Europe or other things. It's like, you look around and like, wow, this place is packed. This place is packed, and you've got people that they drop $15, $20, $30, $40 to come in and get a seat to watch this, and they're here for the whole
That's
time.
the cheap ones.
Yeah,
like I've paid upwards of 50, 60 pounds to watch a show.
Yeah, and then here in the U.S., I've got people that whine about paying $5 to get in, to see a local show. They're like, well, I'm only here to see Big Jim. I'm like, all right, would that work if you were at a football game and I'm only here to see Tom Brady?